Hey all, and welcome to episode 17 of the Unseen Strands podcast, a crochet and fiber arts related podcast where I, your host Bo, am visually impaired and will be sharing with you strands of the rest of my life. I come to you from central Iowa where I live with my husband, our 4 boys, our 2 cats, and our dog. And welcome back to any of our returning listeners, viewers this week, and a hearty welcome to anyone who is joining us for the first time. So this week, like I mentioned last week, is going to be all about the whips, because we have to start all the things when we finish all the things, right? So since September kind of starts a new section of the year, I guess it would be a new third of the year. There's, of course, all sorts of different things that start, and since it's the start of fall, there's all the fall alongs that kind of start up if they haven't. I mean, there are a few summer things that haven't ended yet since summer isn't actually over, but as we know, in our mental mindset, September is the start of fall, even if it's not by the calendar, the first day of fall, which actually the twins' birthday is the last day of summer, so I'm very aware of the fact that summer is still going, but yeah, anyways. But first off, we have an FO that I will share with you. If I can figure out how to do it, I haven't done this. I did this on my last video, and I'm not sure how it worked or if it actually worked, but I created a pull card. And as far as I understand, you can link other channels through cards too, and so I will try to do that with this first finish object. As you may have heard in her podcast, I did a test crochet for the Dabbling hook, and that was for the big button cowl. I think it's maybe it was just big button cowl. I can't remember now. But I did this for her, and so if I can link to her channel, I'll go ahead and do that. I'll do it at least in the description box down below, but I will try to create a card so you can just click on over and check her channel out. She's actually one of the newer channels that I have subscribed to thanks to other people's shout out videos recently. But yeah, I did that pattern for her. It was a very quick project. I think I started and stopped it all in one day. I don't think I did it over a 2-day span. But the only big thing that I noted, and maybe I just forgot, I probably should have went back and read my Ravelry messages, but I'm not sure if I even saved that message. I swear that she had told me that I needed super bulky yarn, and after I finished and noticed that my cowl came out a little bit on the small side, I went back and looked up the yarn that she used and recommended in her pattern, and it's actually a jumbo and not a super bulky. So I should have known to use the larger measurement that she had for the chaining, but I didn't because when I got it, there wasn't a size suggestion or, a measurement of any kind, and I believe that she did say that she has added it to the pattern. But yeah, so I did the smaller set, and I should have done the larger set. So I'm hoping that this won't be too bulky and that I'll actually give it to one of my friend's little girls her birthday was last month and I didn't actually get her a present. So she'll be coming to visit me at the end of this month. So it might just be a little late birthday present if she wants it, because if it's not something she will actually wear, then of course I'm not going to have her wear it. But anyways, so this was made out of Loops and Threads Charisma Marbled, I think is what it's called, yarn. It's the super bulky because it's like 2 different strands that are kind of twisted or marbled, I think is what they're going with together. And I did mine in the brown sugar, I think, colorway. And it used, I think I had 10 yards or so left on the second ball, but I'm thinking if you make it a little bit longer, it probably will need at least those 2 balls and maybe even 3. I had 3, so I was safe either way. But yeah, just a little note for you if you want to do that pattern, that you do need to make sure you have a jumbo, and it could be my hook. What I used as a hook doesn't have any markings on what size it is, so best I could tell is that I think it was somewhere around the recommended hook size, but it could have been on the small size too, because I don't have a lot of super jumbo hooks, because I personally don't prefer to work with the big chunky yarns, as you will probably notice when you see all my started whips. So anyways, moving on to our whips, and I have a lovely little sound effect for you guys, so let's test it out now. So yeah, I guess our first whip, I'm calling this a whip even though it is also something I've called a finished object, but I finished untangling about 180 yards of my China Sea spin. So this is actually what I am detangling as I am recording to you. Like I told you before, I don't know what happened, but when I went to set this yarn, it just completely fell apart and tangled all up, even though I had my reinforcement ties in. So no clue what happened, and this is taking me so much time to untangle. But this actually was a section that had broke when I was trying to straighten it out to try and salvage it. And so apparently that section was about 180 yards. It was, I think, just a little bit over that. And I think that's a little truer to color than my last picture. It's still a little more blue than it is showing up in the pictures. Although I noticed that against that brown background, it did come out a lot more truer to color than it was coming out against my blue background. But yeah, so I am still untangling. So I do still have a ball that is bigger than that I showed you as a finished hank. So I do have a ball that is a little bit bigger than that I'm still working on, and I still have at least that much more still to untangle. But I was super happy because there was this horrible knot that I didn't think I was ever going to get through, and I totally did. I didn't have to cut, and that makes me so happy because as it is now, I feel terrible when I have to break this or when it breaks, because of course, it being a hand spun, I don't want there to be a ton of breaks, and this is already broken on me more than I would like to admit. But of course, some of that was drama on my own error and issues. But I'm about ready to be done with this and make this into something beautiful, but at the moment, I'm still untangling it. And yeah. So anyways, moving on to whip number 2. As I said, since September is cast on or hook up, start working, all the things, I have in my bag that I got from Silver, who is the Silver Streamland podcast, in my all my bags, well I guess not all of them, but a lot of my bags tend to be from the Silver Shed USA. I got this one from Silver. Another one of my projects are in my one that I got from Pen Hooks and Needles, which is also a Silver Shed bag. And so yeah, I really liked my Silver Shed. And she is the one that I got to meet in person, and I didn't realize she was like a big bag maker for our industry when I met her in person. So I have my own bag that is hosting a spinning project on the spindle that I've kind of ignored for a while. But anyways, so in my coffee beans bag is my Mermaids Don't Run track sock. And this is made of 100% BFL, which is blue face luster. And this is originally my project for the Yarn to Tables breed specific sheep wool. And yeah, so I have it going for that, but it's also, since it's mermaidy, I decided that it's summery, so I'm using it for another summer cowl, which is for the Hand Me Downs podcast, which is hosted by Jared or one of his other 10 million personas, which actually won some patterns from Hannah of the Cozy Cottage from him for another one of his little giveaway things. So that's kind of awesome. But yeah, I was doing this for my summer project. So hopefully I can get this done by the end of the month, because that particular along is done by September 30th, even though the land of the specific breeds isn't done till the end of October. But there are also several sock cows that like to have you finish a pair in the month, so I'm going to try this time to actually finish. And yeah, the only thing I have with this particular yarn is it's a, like I said, the 100% BFL, which makes it a actually fingering weight yarn, whereas most of your sock yarns that are, you know, the basic merino nylon blend are a light fingering weight yarn. So I'm not sure if I'm going to actually, I would like to make a contrast toe and heels, but I don't know if I will, because I haven't been able to find a color that is in a similar weight of yarn, because the BFL is 400 yards per 100 grams, whereas a lot of other yarns are 460 some yards for 100 grams, and the actual next closest I've seen is 432, I think, and that's still a big difference when you're looking at the different weights. This is my Once Upon a Corgi yarn. I am really enjoying the BFL. I was really scared to use BFL because all I ever heard was how scratchy and like rustic, as people like to say, of a wool it is. But I am super impressed with this wool, at least this particular one that Gabby has gotten, and yeah, I really like how the sock is working up, and I'm crocheting it with my 2mm hook. And this is the sock pattern that I've kind of made up for myself. Well, I made it up for my husband, and I'm doing one for myself. But yeah, that is in my coffee beans bag. So thank you, Silver. That was a prize that kind of got lost in the shuffle. So we'll go ahead and move on to whip number 3, which is, like I said, in our puzzle piece bag, which is what I got from one of the, well, it was the autism awareness, along with pen hooks and needles. And I am working on the pumpkin pasty shawl from EvenGaze, which is from Jody Fieldhouse, I think. Field something. She is also a podcaster with the EvenGaze podcast. And so again, if I can figure out how to link cards, I will put a card up here with her information or a link to her podcast. And this again is out of a Once Upon a Corgi yarn. This time though, I want to say, I think this is in the correction in the 75 Corriedale 25% nylon base. This is in the color Fairy Saddle, and I am working it with a G-hook. I think I put in my, I did actually make a project page for this already because I wanted to link the pattern. I put that this is a 4.25 G-hook, but it is actually a 4mm. I was just guessing, and then I had Jeremy actually tell me what it said yesterday. So yeah, it's my Clover Amour hook, which I love, but I just love everything that has to do with G-hooks. I even loved my crochet hooks that were not so friendly to hold, that were my G-hooks, because that's just my favorite hook size. This was, again, in the Fairy Saddle colorway, which is kind of a orangey coppery color, which Gabby, your listing for this particular colorway says Cooper, not copper. Just FYI. Because I keep meaning to message you and then I don't. This actually has my one of my little stitch markers from No Catchy Name from Ella on that I got when I ordered her bags, which will be my next finished object, or my next whip. But yeah, that is a shawl. I've not quite gotten through one whole repeat, I guess, because you go through the whole pattern and then you repeat a certain number of rows until it's the desired size. So I haven't gotten quite to that point yet. So I'm basically working this one for, well, Gabby from Once Upon a Corgi and the Stitching the High Notes podcast are doing their pumpkin mal. So this will be going for both of those. Well, you know, since there's finished objects threads in both groups, so I will be doing that for those, and then there's several other Halloween fall things. So yeah, the pumpkin along, I figured a pumpkin pasty whatever. I figured that fit in well for the theme, and the color's not quite as orange as, I don't know, it really depends on the lighting, because some lighting makes it look a lot more orange than others. But yeah, I thought this would go good for that project. And then I was thinking I was going to use a different color that I bought from Gabby in a different project, but I might use that also for this, even though it's not the same yarn, but it's also still a fingering weight yarn. So we might try that to go with it, because I do think it's a good complementary color. But I'd basically, when I ordered, I had gotten one of each of her bases, or at least the breed, or the sheep breed bases, so that I could try them out, since they were different than a lot of other dyers have. I didn't bother to get any of the normal sock yarn from her, because again, everyone else has that yarn, so it's not as special as some of these just more breed specific yarns. And my next whip is a sweater that I am actually making for myself for a change. This is the homebody sweater. I don't remember how this came up, but it came up in one of my searches for a DK weight sweater. And yeah, so I had that dolphin yarn that I had bought way back at the it was when I got Jeremy's root beer yarn. I had gotten the Willow's Guppy yarns, and it was the dolphin colorway, and I decided that I really need to start figuring out how much yarn I need to make myself a comfortable sweater, especially if I'm getting indie dyed yarns, because of course we want to know how much we need to buy of those in advance. And so I have 4 skeins of this DK weight yarn. It is 100% acrylic, so I do need to check that out to make sure that I check the yardage, because of course that's going to be different than a sheepy yarn or wool yarn, which most of the hand dyed yarns are 100% merino when they get to the DK weights. And so yeah, I am working on that. I've only gotten to about 15 rows, which is, I don't remember what I decided, a little more than 6 inches of ribbing, which is across the bottom. So yeah, not very far on that one, but that's probably, I don't know, I might take that tonight, or I might continue working on my detangling tonight for Taekwondo. Oh, and then I have a new project, the Katrina's Creations podcast. She's doing a knitting 101 kind of schooling, and every Wednesday there is going to be a new video. So she's done cast on and knit stitch, so I have started my knit stitch. She had us, or wanted you to cast on 50. I only casted on 20 because I wanted washcloth size, and I got to looking at it, and 50 was going to be way more than washcloth size, so I decided I'd just go down to 20, which also made it a lot less stressful, because me and dropping stitches is the reason that I don't knit. So yeah, but I am doing this in 100% cotton. It is just leftover cotton, peaches and cream or sugars and cream. I believe this one was one that I was gifted in a random grab bag of items from one of my neighbors. And so yeah, I don't really know what it is, and I just want to get some practice, because I would like to be able to knit. I don't think it'll ever take over my life, because being not able to see and dropping stitches is such a big issue for me that I don't think I can ever get truly past it. And then, of course, we have a spinning project, but when I went to go take a picture of my spinning whip, we ran into little Miss Tokes hiding behind a box that was right next to, I went to grab the fiber that I was pairing with this so I could take a picture. And so I decided, since Jane was mentioning from the Scraptastic Yarns podcast, she was mentioning how she needs to get her kitty fixes in because her husband won't let her get a new furry baby. That I would go ahead and take a little picture, or I guess there are two pictures here for you, of Tokes just kind of hiding in my organization stuff, because I think the boxes next to her are actually my ribbon for my Etsy shop, and then the other things next to her actually do store yarn, and there's a bag I think there that stores yarn. So she was just kind of very placed gently herself into that little cranny. But she was awful cute, and I was trying to get a picture of her in the sink for you guys today, and that was before I saw Jane's podcast this morning, because yes, Tokes likes to sleep in the sink. I can't tell you why, because she'll sleep with us at night, and then she got up in the morning and my husband went to take a shower and she's sitting in the sink. But every time I went over there to take her picture, she decided that she needed to get up. So yeah, I couldn't get a picture of her in the sink because she thought that I needed to pet her if I was over there. But I got a picture of her hiding in my stash. But yeah, that takes us to my final whip for the day, and this is my, well, I am going to spin this in hopes that I can have it done for the Yarn to Table podcast, Land of Exotic Fibers. This is, the main fiber is that I am currently spinning is a yak merino blend. It was the Yaktober blend. I did not get this in the box, it's just one that I had purchased on my own. And I decided that I wanted to pair it with, I think, this camel. And this is just camel fiber. It's not a top roving or anything like that. So that'll be a new experience for me to spin something that isn't in top form. And top is a preparation of the fibers so that they're going one way, I think. It's kind of what you get from a drum carder, or is that roving that you get from the drum carder? Anyways, most of your rovings are topped, but not all your tops are roving. Does that make sense to you? Just like all your frogs are toads, but not all your toads are frogs? I think that's how it works. I won't swear to it. I'm not super experienced on my spinning information. And yes, I had a comment from my fellow visually impaired person here on YouTube, and this is the Electric Eel Wheel 5.1 and not the mini. I know she said that she had gotten the mini, so I don't know how that works. I would assume it's similar, but I don't know because I think it's a lot smaller than the 5.1. But yeah, guys, that's my whips for the day. And I guess for little podcast news, we might actually get away from this audio only, or audio and pictures format. We went last Thursday when the babies went with my mother-in-law for an overnight at her house. My husband had taken the day off and we had gone consignment shopping. We actually only made it to, I think, a Goodwill and this other store. It's called Stuff Etc., which I love this store, but it's kind of a mix between consignment and a Goodwill, because what it is people bring things in and then they buy those items, or at least what they want to, straight from that person, and then they put it for sale. And so those items aren't, returned to the person if they don't sell. They just pretty much discount them and until they're gone. And so we had gone, and in the electronics case, they had a Sony Bloggy Touch, and it is an older model, but for $25 for a like $200 little camera thing, we thought it was going to be worth a shot. So we have gone ahead and we got that little $25 camera, and I probably would have tried to take some video today with it, but I have no idea where my husband put it. So I couldn't start using that today, so we'll see if I can use that in the future for anything, even if it's just to kind of show you different things, because some of this stuff is just not recording well or photoing well, and it would be nice to be able to show you it in a little, I guess, more natural light. As for other, I guess, podcast administration, of course, the Cakewalk is still going on. It's going on for about another month, guys. So make sure that if you are making any projects that are using any like commercially caked up yarn or yarn that you have caked up yourself, that you are posting those projects and just chatting over on the Unseen Strands Ravelry group. And that's all chatter and finished objects are in the same thread there. And of course, you can also enter those items into the Facebook group for the No Catching Name Crochet Talk. And again, that goes until October 14th, which is my birthday, so that is coming up here on us fairly soon. I'm trying to decide if I want to do Blogtober, since October, of course, is super busy here, being my birthday month and then being all the festivities for fall and thing, which I love. I love fall festivities and all that stuff. So I'm trying to decide. Of course, this again will be really short clips, I think, for the most part. There's not a whole lot yarny that I have planned going on that month. There is a retreat. I don't know if there's still openings for it, but it's in the town on the other side of the metro, and I don't have anybody to go with me. So yeah, I'm not sure I will be going to that one. It's also $75, and I've spent a lot of my money on sales and dyers going out of business, because yeah, found out about another one yesterday. So yesterday, 2 days ago, and then Bad Wolf Girl Studios was having her moving sale, so I had to buy a few things from her. And I still have to purchase my advent calendar, so yeah, just a lot of things that are expensive. And as far as for life stuff going on here, I have a real struggle. My house is in a open floor plan for the living room, dining room, kitchen area. And this used to be no problem because we had one of those gate system things that's like a freestanding playpen area that we put the twins in. But Leo has discovered that he can climb out of it if there is anything taller than it around him. I can't figure out how he's getting it out now, because everything that I can tell that he could climb from is at least a good 8 inches to a foot away from him. But yeah, he's managing somehow to climb out of it. And yeah, with that super open floor plan, it's like chaos now here. So my crocheting time is going to be a lot more limited in the nearing future, I guess, because yeah, a little monster on the run. Now, Zane will sit in his play yard and be happy, or even if he's out of it, he tends to not get into as much trouble as Leo. Leo, you would never guess it looking at him, but he is always looking for every piece of food within reach or that he can climb into. And like I said, he's climbing, so counters aren't really safe, and the table's not safe, and I have 2 older children that can't get it through their heads that they need to clean up after themselves. Yeah, lots of arguing and issues over the weekend with that. But yeah, I wish there was a better solution to keeping a almost 2-year-old contained because it's just so aggravating, because I need to keep my stuff separate from them, but I can't because it's out in the open and I need to be with it, but I need to be with them. So I just wish there was a better solution. It would have been really nice if this house wasn't quite so open floor planned, because at least then you could, block off certain areas. But all I can think of now is that I need to take that freestanding gate apart and make it just like an enclosure around my computer. So at least it has a layer of protection from it, so I could put, you know, all the yarn and things on one side and they could be on the other side. It still means they, you know, can get into it if they get over it, but at least give it some kind of, you know, barrier. A little slowdown. Can't leave them alone, but you could at least not have to be on top of them every living second of the day. So yeah, I never really wanted the open footer plan. That was more for my husband and trying to keep him out with the family. But yeah, that really hasn't worked in my favor either. So anyways, guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up for you. I did get my Etsy shop up and running. Again, there's only like a handful of items in it currently, but I will hope to get a few more things, you know, going back up and running. And of course the kids shop is open and things are, I did a fall update, which was basically just renewing everything that I could think of that was kind of fall-y inspired or whatever, or Halloween inspired, that we have already had listings for. So that went up the other day. I did post that on Instagram, so you might have noticed it there. And yeah, I think that's about it. So guys, if you want to find me on social media, you can look for me as either Hooked on Moze, which is HOOKEDONMOEZ, and that would be on Facebook, Twitter, or Etsy, as well as Moze Crochet, which is MOESCROCHET, and that is on Ravelry, Goodreads, Instagram, I think on Pinterest. I might be Hooked on Moze on Pinterest. I don't remember. No, I think it's Moze Crochet. But yeah, on most things that are more general, I'm Moze Crochet. And anyways, guys, if you liked this episode, I hope you hook the like button and subscribe. Talk to you later, guys.